An analogy is, you start your career with a bucket and it's empty. And as you start going on these calls, these horrendous calls, you're putting a little bit of stuff in the bucket each time. Over the course of a career, you keep filling your bucket, and it could be a rather mundane, routine call that caps it off and causes it to overflow, whether you got there from an injury or a near-death experience or just cumulative stress.
I recall early on in my career, whether it's a burn victim or, pediatric drowning or something, carrying strange thoughts after the call, but not comfortably discussing that with my coworkers.
They have to be tough guys and gals. I think they have to be tough. And they think it's a vulnerability to show a weakness.
It's funny, we will talk to each other about our back injuries or our knee injuries or our shoulder injuries, but nobody will have that same conversation with a psychological injury.
There is a culture that kind of shies away from opening up the discussion for mental health and counseling and stuff like that. At the same time, it's there.
I think when a lot of people think of PTSD, they think of military, service and going to war. And so that was kind of embedded in my brain. And I'm like, well, I didn't go to war. I lost a lot of great friends, but I really didn't comprehend what PTSD was. And I didn't make the connections.
We're seeing record numbers of alcoholism in the fire service, behavioral issues in the fire service, and suicides. I think a great number of those stem from untreated mental health injuries that were sustained over the course of their career.
I wasn't well enough educated about it to understand that the reason why I was going to the bars and drinking wasn't because I thought I was being social with friends, but that was my way of coping.
I know from spouse's standpoint, they are probably seeing it in their firefighter a lot. And they don't know what's going on, where they're angry at them or they're sad or they're withdrawn. And the spouses need to try to bring it up, and the person who's having the struggle needs to ask for help.
We as the fire service need to be comfortable reaching out for help. We need to have our own internal 911 system where it's okay to call for help, get help, and the esprit de corps of the fire service needs to embrace that.
Just recognizing things that are happening with you. You have bad calls and you go home and, kick the dog and treat the family bad. Maybe you are reacting to something that happened to you at work last night or last week. Educating yourself on what resources are available to you if you begin to have those type of symptoms and what you should do for it. And mostly realize that you are not the only person that feels this way or has felt this way.
I think in the fire service, something that we don't know about is something we don't work on. Obesity, we didn't know that was really an issue. And then we started losing a lot of guys, and we're like, wow, our percentage of people we lose from obesity is almost larger than we lose in fires. We got to do something different about this. And so now we're facing this epidemic with PTSD and suicide.
The department was on my side once I made them aware of it, but they didn't really know what to do or directions to push me in or what resources were available.
The department gave me time. I'm very thankful that they gave me time to heal, to get what I needed with my recovery. And they also gave me peer support.
In Sacramento County, we have brought all of the fire agencies together and begun meetings to develop a peer support program on a region-wide basis. We have training that is provided to peers so that they are aware of what resources are available to them, as well as some of the things to look out for in their fellow employees.
Start opening up a little bit more, start peeling back the layers. And once that peer supporter recognizes a red flag, I guess, when they peel back a layer, like, hey, maybe you might want to see this person that I went through, or this is how I felt, and you create a relationship. And then you go from there to see a therapist, and then you move forward.
I encourage people and I challenge them to go out and learn about PTSD, to not be afraid of it, to not live in fear of what it is and the fact that you might be suffering from it, to rise up and to be a part of the change.
From a management perspective, I think we need to perhaps be a little bit more hands-on with the goings-on in our departments. Maybe look with a little bit keener sense as to the symptoms of some of our problems and not jump to any conclusions.
It's changed for the military. They're starting to acknowledge it and recognize it. It needs to do that for the public safety, for firefighters and police. That it has to happen.
I can tell you from my experience that if you start taking care of it early, it will save you a lot of grief and it will save you a lot of recovery time.
We are the eyes and ears of our brothers and sisters. We're their keepers. We're supposed to keep them safe on the line, and we should do the same thing at home. We should be willing to fight for that as much as we're willing to fight for them in a burning building or a burning forest or any of those kind of situations.